Welcome back to Outside Views, and I promised you that today we will have a little look at Nigel Farage's statement on, or one of his statements on the statements of Keir Starmer on Gaza. So let's have a look what Nigel Farage has to say, and after you've seen my last video with what I said about Starmer's statements, will be quite a thing to see if I finally agree on something with Nigel Farage.
Good evening. Well, I said last night on this show that I felt that all of this was premature, that the time to recognise the state of Palestine was not now, as the danger was it would be seen as giving something of a victory to Hamas. I also said last night that I felt that the demands that were being made on Israel were far greater than the demands that were being made on a new Palestinian state. Well, sure as eggs is...
And it's quite surprising. And I told you, I, on purpose, did not watch the Farage video before, as I did with the other videos recently, because I wanted to get surprised myself. And he's starting right off with 2 points where, unfortunately, I have to agree with Nigel Farage here. It's kind of what I said in my Starmer video. It is giving Hamas something as a reward for the attack on October 7th, and the demands on Israel are really unproportionate if you look what Starmer wants from Farage. So it's going to get really interesting to see how this continues.
Eggs, a man called Bassem Naam, a senior figure in Hamas today, said, "Victory and liberation are closer than we expected." Now, obviously, by saying that,
as I said, I didn't watch Nigel's video on purpose beforehand. So when he puts in some quotes, it's from GB News. So I couldn't fact check the quotes, but it at least does sound like something I heard from various Hamas people recently, and we've seen the propaganda videos they are producing at the moment.
He's giving the British government a fair degree of significance. Trump, of course, last week said that when Macron said he'd recognise the state, it was irrelevant. But, hey, this is good news for Hamas, I think. Now, Emily Damari, you'll remember, she was the British hostage that I campaigned so hard for and got released. And she said today, this does not advance peace. It risks rewarding terror. It sends a dangerous message that violence earns legitimacy. Now, I know.
Yeah, and I have to agree with that. And to just make that point, Hamas also took 10 German citizens hostage on October 7th.
That you viewers of this channel have very, very split views on this question. Whilst I hope that everybody who watches GB News was appalled by the mass murder, rape and torture that took place on October the 7th, I know many people are very, very worried about how Israel has behaved and the sheer number of deaths that have taken place in Gaza. But I still feel...
There's always a but after that. First of all, I'm absolutely appalled by the attacks of October 7th. And I'm not a general GB News viewer. I only pick those videos for work.
I still feel that Emily Damari is right on this. I think this is rewarding Hamas. So give me your thoughts. Are Hamas right in claiming victory? Tweet #Farage on GB News or email farage@gbnews.com.
And it was a short statement that I picked here. I know that, and we will not continue with the comments there. But the situation is really bad, and if I have to agree with Nigel Farage against statements of the British government, then it might be a signal to the one or the other of my viewers that there is something going wrong at the moment. I mean, we heard Trump's statement a few days ago, his first statement on Macron, then he got a bit harsher at the White House. But we're talking about the UK. They, of course, with Brexit, lost a little bit of stance, and we talked about that for ages. But it's still the UK. I never said that the UK is not counting at all anymore anywhere. It is one of the veto powers in the UN, by the way. We must not forget that one. That's why Starmer mentioned something when he said in September we will recognize the Palestine if Israel doesn't do what we want, and we don't want a veto there. And I really don't know what's going on. Of course, Starmer has to bow to the left wing of his party, and the left wing in his party is giving him a lot of trouble, not to mention Corbyn's new party. And I know that recently, after talking mostly about Brexit, where a lot of people who are up to very much left wing agreed with me, then realized when I talk about different parts of politics than Brexit that I definitely do not agree with them. I've lost subscribers here on this channel, but I'm giving you my view on things. And it was my view on Brexit as it is, and we will talk more about Brexit still, because there are still developments, there are still transitional periods going on and everything, and the discussions between the EU and the UK are still going on about the future. But I chose to talk about other areas as well. I used to live in the UK. I still have a lot of friends there, and so that is something that I'm personally very interested in still. But my views, I always said from the beginning of this channel that I am a German conservative, and I usually should agree with the Tories. The Tories just did a lot of stuff that I couldn't believe and I couldn't go with. But nevertheless, I was never a left-wing extremist or whatever. So you can see that on other politics decisions, especially now what the Starmer government is doing because of the left wing of their party, that I absolutely cannot agree with. I agree with Starmer on the general direction he goes on Brexit now, because I would think he should go much tougher on the Brexit part, but he doesn't. But on a lot of other things, I cannot go with Starmer's politics. And I cannot agree with Starmer's politics, because that is too driven by inter-party stuff instead of what's the best for the country. And now with Corbyn and his party, and yes, I did call Corbyn a communist, which from my point of view, if you listen to him for years, that is extreme left-wing. And that is at least real socialist policies that he's pushing there. And that's where I lost a lot of viewers recently. Whenever people see my Corbyn video about his party opening, I lose not viewers but subscribers. But I will not sell my opinion out or whatever for subscribers. This channel is here the way it is because you get my opinion. And if you like to hear it, I'm very happy that you are here. If you don't like to hear it, then so be it. But on this issue, once again, I really have to go strongly against Starmer's decision to put this blackmail on Israel and to reward Hamas. And on this one, at least for that statement that you've just seen, and you will never hear that word too often from me, I agree with Nigel Farage, which I usually never do. You know how much I criticize Nigel Farage and what I think about those right-wing populists, be it in the UK, be it in the USA, or be it here in Germany or in Hungary or wherever. But on this one, I do agree. And you can criticize that as much as you want. I know this is a very contentious issue at the moment, but in the Western countries, what I see out on the streets as well, on what's going on at the moment, on the attack of Israel and what's going on in Gaza, and especially what Hamas is still doing, that Hamas is still there. It's going into a direction that kind of scares me, that people in democracies can have that opinion. You are free to have any opinion as long as it's within the boundaries of the law, but with the expression of the opinion, you can have any that you want. But I don't understand these people. people going out there supporting a terrorist organization. How can you? And we don't need to talk about the Queers for Palestine. You know that I'm gay myself, and every queer person that goes on a demonstration supporting Hamas should go to Palestine and tell them who they are. I mean, in some cases, just the look of them would be enough. They would not survive very long. And they are supporting them? Honestly. But nevertheless, we'll see what the next videos will bring. I'm always filming on one day with 3 videos nowadays, because that takes a little bit longer to produce what I'm doing now, but that's the kind that I wanted to test out at the moment. And so it's 3 videos a week, and I'm always filming for a whole week on one day because of the other channels that I have and that I'm working on. And so this is the last I pre-filmed. And today, when you're seeing this one, I'll be filming the next 3. So right now, when I'm filming this, I don't know what the next 3 will be. But if you want to see an existing video right now, the next one is right here in the end screen. I'll see you there. I'll be back.